Welcome to another feature presentation of Infinite Stories, the tool I've been working on for quite some time. Now, we all know that infinite stories are supposed to be infinite, and with the structure I created, they are definitely infinite, right? So you can always choose the next section, you can always choose the next path to go down. So this is pretty much infinite. But sometimes our infinite imagination needs a little bit of boost of what can and cannot happen. And maybe it is helpful to read a short story, maybe a book or something similar. So I included a short story section, books not yet, but maybe in the future, which allows you to create a short story. And it works pretty much the same as it did for the infinite stories. You start with a story and then you let it generate. However, these are what's it called? Like complete stories. They're supposed to end at some point. That's why also the design is slightly different. Of course, not this page. This looks very familiar, very little change, but when we go into one. But let's just try to create one together. So we go with this town does not exist, and we have a description. A driver takes a wrong turn and ends up in a town not found on any map. The locals insist he's always lived there. Every road out loops back in, and each loop the town changes. Now, while we can decide on writing everything on our own, for example by selecting I don't want any help, in this case we're working with the true one-shot, which is basically based from the title and the description. The story is generated in one go. We can still select a genre, of course. We don't have to, but we can. And I think this can be a comedy, maybe horror. Let's go with comedy. Target young adults again, and the tone of voice is humorous. With all of these together, we just simply create the story. And here we see the slightly changed new screen. And the keen observer might have noticed that I also included a copyright infringement button. So if ever something happens uh, or some copyright claims can be made, the story does not exist for others anymore. So basically you have a form to report what exactly is going on, but this is going way too much into detail for just a short presentation. So let's just generate the story and see what happens, right? So it's basically proposing you with chapters and it's generating. You can see it also how it's continuing here on the side, right? And we do have a common chapter structure. This does not have to be, right? It's AI, so sometimes these exist, sometimes they don't. But you get a good first draft. And I read through a few of these, and while they are AI generated, it does still make a lot of fun to uh, go through them because they are still quite fascinating. And depending on what the description includes, what the tone of voice includes, what the different parts include, we always get a different result. So basically, infinite options. And now that we generated it, basically we can just save and keep it private. So no one else can see it. It's just our story. We only want to read it and that's it. Or we can save and publish it. Means this is now accessible to everyone. Well, the moment I publish the tool. So this is now saved. But we could also decide, well, this is great, but actually I want to rework a chapter. Maybe I want to use some custom instruction in it. Maybe I want to add another chapter in the middle, rework it by giving it some stuff included. And as we see, it does not always work as expected. So there are still a few things to kinks to work out, but basically this is the idea. And as you can also see on the left hand side, I included the same image options as for the infinite stories, but in this case it would be on a chapter level. Well, the other one is also on a chapter level, but I mean not limited to one picture in the screen, but multiples, and it helps you with the same as before. So imagine you can choose a specific theme that someone and I don't want to name names, of course, prepared. And it looks something like this, right? And maybe instead of this story, we go with the hunt is on, because here I already went through all the changes and created some images with it. And now you can read it. And you notice, oh wait, this one is maybe not as well readable as I would hope. So we can just look into the chapter text, maybe give it a bit more oomph by giving the text. Let's go with the text color of black, but also a little bit of a shadow. What is it? A box shadow. And oh, actually, it's not a box shadow, it's a drop shadow, right? And here we give it maybe an amber, right? So it is a little bit above it. And now, actually, that doesn't look that great. Not a designer, still not a designer. Maybe at some point if I have these options. So chapter text, general design, shadows, drop shadow, and maybe a smaller one, right? Still not super great, but definitely readable. And this could be your story. And with the warm colors, I think it does help. Again, we could also change the pictures. They're currently on a chapter basis, and since I'm the owner of this, can always create a new one, right? Just open up the image prompt, collect whatever is needed, select the style. I went, by the way, this one is Dungeons and Dragons. Generate the prompt. And with this, we can go very easily into an image creation tool like the AI Studio, which I currently use quite a bit when it's loading. Right, provide it with the prompt, maybe give it an aspect ratio, let it run, and you should get an image relatively soon. There we go. Right? It creates a different image than last time. I did change a few prompts in the meantime because now it does focus on the hair color and everything. As you see previously, it does change a little bit, right? So depending on how well it works, how good you are with prompting, it might look a little bit different, but just having these options, I think, is absolutely great and can be a joy to read. So thank you all for listening. Bye.